to me, what makes me happy, and I'm sure it makes you guys happy as well, when you achieve a certain level of success, is like when you're able to put people in positions or do things for people and they are genuinely happy and appreciative of what you did without you saying, because I'll never throw it in anybody's face, like, I did this for you. But they're like, 6 months later, they're like, dude, man, can't tell you thank you enough, like, I really appreciate the fact that you were able to set me up and be in this position to help better my life or whatever. That's more satisfying to me than if you gave me $1 million check today.
We're excited to introduce Onyi, also known as the Sweatpants Millionaire. Welcome to the show, man.
I appreciate it. Happy to be here.
I love it. Where did Sweatpants Millionaire come from? What starts this story?
Yeah, so basically, my old username was actually Mr. Arkansas, which I used to bodybuild. And so when I moved to Texas, I was like, okay, well, I'm in Texas now. So I never, like, for me personally, I'm like, I'm not going to dress up for anybody. So in any room I go in, I'm going to go as myself and comfortable. So that's where it came from, really.
Just last Saturday, I was, had a few meetings or something. I was like, I don't want to wear jeans today. I was like, I'm meeting with some investors. I was like, screw it. I'm wearing joggers. I show up and they're all wearing joggers too. I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah, because I think it was like some Instagram, like, those like stupid little clips or whatever. It's like the guys wearing suits work for the guys who are wearing the sweatpants.
Yeah.
And actually, that might have been what made me change it. So
the Sweatpants Millionaire.
So
dope. And then you were just telling us before you lived in Nigeria for a few years.
Yeah, 98 to 2000, from like 10 to 13.
Tell us a little bit about that.
That was a cool experience. Both my parents are Nigerian, and they wanted to send me and my brother back to just kind of like learn language and culture, which we did. So, it's a cool experience. Went and lived with my aunt and some of my cousins, and got to kind of understand the culture a little bit more. And I think they thought we were too westernized.
Yeah.
So,
Have you been back since?
Yeah, I go back all the time.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it's so different. I mean, I just got back from the 3 weeks in Mexico, and I was on a walk one morning and I see a dog literally eating the head off another dead dog. I'm just like, this is like, yeah, I posted that and a lot of people commented like, is that a dog eating a dog? And I'm like, yep, that is it's just on the street right here in the middle of the city.
Actually, the first experience I had in Nigeria, so we landed in Lagos, and Lagos is like one of the biggest cities in the world, one of the most overpopulated and unorganized cities. Mm-hmm. And my uncle picks us up from the airport, and we're in the taxi, and the taxi runs over a dog. Doesn't stop, nothing, just. And we were like in America, that's like,
You just killed somebody's best friend.
Yeah. It was like nothing. I was like, wow, okay, we're definitely not, at the time we lived in Savannah, Georgia. So like, we're definitely not in Savannah right now. So.
Your aunt said you were too westernized. What else did she mean by that?
My parents. That's why they sent us back. So, it's just, Nigerians are, you can Google it, but Nigerians are the most educated, subgroup in America.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Before I like read this like 5,000 different places, I would have thought it was like Asians. Mm-hmm. It's actually Nigerians. Like 1/4 of all like Harvard grads that are Black are Nigerian.
Wow.
And we're such a small segment of the Black population and also the U.S. population in general. So they take education extremely serious. Both my parents are doctors. One has a PhD, one has an MD. And the rest of my family is pretty much the same way. And then just like they're real big on like following authority, or falling in line and kind of like doing what you're supposed to do and all that type of stuff. So even for me, like to kind of like branch off and do the entrepreneurial thing wasn't really like, I was supposed to go to med school. So basically, if you kind of like fought a line a little bit, it's not celebrated. My culture is more, hey, he's falling out of line. He's getting a little too westernized. Let's send him back home to
straighten him out.
Yeah, straighten him back out. Yeah, exactly.
Did you go to college?
I did 4 years, dropped out.
How do they take that? That's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
How do the parents take that?
I didn't like it at all. I actually just, I went back and I literally dropped out my senior year finals week. So, and one thing my mom did, she paid for all 3 of our school, like through like we all took student loans, but she literally took like 10 years and paid it all off. She was like, I'm going to pay for everybody's school. So she's like paying for 10 years on loans that literally were worthless. So last year for her birthday, I actually like finished my degree and gave it to her. And
oh, that's cool.
It was the most
awesome.
Dramatic, she's extremely dramatic about like.
How long was that break from dropping out to finishing it?
2009 was my senior year of college till last year's 2022. So 13 years. And to her, I mean, obviously, I've opened a lot of stores, made a lot of money. I would probably say that that's probably the most proud she's ever been.
Wow, that's cool.
For a useless degree that, if you ask me what I even got the degree in, I don't even remember, to be honest.
Yeah.
General studies.
What'd you have to do to finish it? Just take a test?
I had to retake all those classes last semester. So it was like 6 classes or something. Yeah.
I also dropped out last semester before graduating. And I started telling people I dropped out and everybody hated it. Oh, you're going to be a failure, blah, 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 blah. So I switched it and I said, I'm just taking a break.
Are you still on your break?
Still taking the break. Okay. So maybe I'll go back 13 years, follow in your footsteps.
Yeah.
Well, that leads us into the next question of like, you're obviously all about growth and personal life, bodybuilding and some of the other stuff that we talked about. But when did it click for you that you wanted to be better today than you were yesterday?
I think it's always been like that. For me, the thing I lack is like the art of achievement. So it's one of those things where you accomplish a goal and you're never actually like, I'm so goal oriented and I have like what that one thing is in my mind. And I'm like, I'm going to achieve this. And I've never set a goal ever and I haven't achieved it. Like no matter how ambitious the goal is, if I daydream about it previous to even like making the goal, I make the goal. And then everything I do is just about that one goal. And it always happens. Right. But then when it happens, it's like years of dedication to get this one goal. And then when it happens, I'm literally thinking, okay, what's next? Mm-hmm. So it's never satisfied, which is like, it's actually a negative thing, but it's also what keeps you like hungry and growing. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing that I've like, kind of realized. Cause like even with the bodybuilding thing, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be Mr. Arkansas when I literally was like out of shape and didn't even really work out. And I just like went full force. I never enjoyed working out. So the second I retired, I literally did not work out. You guys
what was that picture at on Instagram?
Yeah.
Sweatpants millionaire. Scroll down, you'll see a 250 dehydrated man, just 0% body fat. It's scary.
Yes.
It was looking good.
It's crazy because so many people that are into working out, like, it's like, oh, it's a lifestyle. And for me, it's even like cringy when I see, like this, like the Instagrams that are like, all they are is like with their shirt off and they have the invisible lat syndrome where they can't put their arms down and, all this. And I'm like, I was like 3 times that person's size.
Yeah.
And I never wore like a tank top or did anything. I just had like a goal that I want to achieve this. And the second I achieved it, I was like, okay, cool. What's next?
Yeah.
And,
so 250 pounds though, that seems big. Or is that normal for being that lean and still having 250 pounds?
No. So there's like weight classes. So there's like lightweight, middle class or middleweight, lightweight, middleweight, light heavyweight, heavyweight, and the super heavyweight. I was a super heavyweight. So I was like the biggest class. So no, that's like pretty big.
Usually you see like a lean, like how cut you are. Yeah. I'd say like 180 pounds,
Yeah. Which would be like a light heavyweight. Right. So yeah. But for me, like I naturally, like a lot of people would say, okay, once you're done bodybuilding, they get small. It's like, no, like I quit bodybuilding. I still looked big and like in shape, with the shirt on. But I'm like, I've stayed at like 280 for like years. And now, I've been intermittent fasting and doing, fasted cardio. I don't even lift weights. So now I'm down to like my smallest in probably 3 years was 265. So that's like, for me, that's like my normal. So I never had a problem getting big. I had a problem leaning up. Mm-hmm. And for me to even get to that size, it's like 20 weeks of literally 7 meals a day, fish and rice and ate so much tilapia. I'm surprised I'm not a fish.
Yeah. Dude, I hate tilapia.
Or orange roughy tilapia.
I ate a lot of that too. Didn't do it to the extent that you did, but I would, in high school, we'd go football at 250, or not 250, like 210, and then I'd drop to 160 for wrestling.
Oh, wow.
And it was just fish. That's what it was, tilapia. And I haven't eaten it since.
Wrestling has to, wrestling is literally, the dehydration process, very similar to wrestling. Yeah. Not healthy.
No.
Your kidneys are effed.
Jumping back to the working, hitting that goal, then immediately going to that other goal. That's definitely something that most of us entrepreneurs, like, we face.
Yeah. Every high achiever. It's like you're never satisfied.
It's never enough.
Does
that cause you, do you think you work too much?
I know I work too much, but like if every time that, so like my corporate staff, I have a very good relationship with my corporate staff and they work very hard for me, but they know they're like, if we fix an issue or a problem that I'm dealing with, they're like, oh shit, he's going to go find something else to get into. Because it's like, I mean, for what I make the majority of my money from, I literally do almost no work for it because that system and process is already in place. So now I'm over here like doing other things to keep myself, busy. Because it's not like, because I don't do what I do for money. If I literally stop doing everything I'm doing right now, I can afford to do everything I want to do that I can think of doing. So it's just like constantly it's the game of like just achieving more and the game of avoiding taxes. So those are the two things.
When you are achieving more, how do you dissociate that from your identity? So that way, like Olympic athletes, after they've hit their goal, they go through a lot of mental crisis after they've competed. How do you keep getting back into the ring?
Yeah. So I would say for business wise, I've never had to confront that. But I did with bodybuilding because when I was bodybuilding, everybody knew me as Mr. O, and my first business was called Mr. O's Nutrition. So that's where the Mr. O kind of came from. Mm. And then obviously nobody could say my last name. So I was Mr. O, and in Arkansas, like I was really well known, like throughout the state, and as Mr. Arkansas, and then also as Mr. O. And everyone knew me for bodybuilding. So going from being someone who was like always in extremely good shape to just kind of being normal, it was almost like the mind F of like, okay, how can you just like be normal? Like, how do you disassociate yourself from Mr. O? And my way of dissociating myself from Mr. O was finding something else to like achieve on a really high level, which was business. Mm. So then I even actually have a picture on my Instagram that I took, this photographer in Dallas took of me that was representative of that. So it's like, and it like went viral when I posted it 6 years ago, whatever. But it was me looking at like some mass, and it was my body, like pretty much like a bodybuilding pic on one half, and then I had a suit on the other half. Mm-hmm. So it was like the transition from the bodybuilder to the businessman, and then now for me it's just like achieving this goal of being a successful businessman. And I never considered myself successful probably till like maybe a year ago. And then now my goal, or what kind of drives me, is helping to put people that, I deal with or care about in positions to succeed and take care of themselves and not feel like they're getting any type of handout. But because I have the opportunity to help do that. So for instance, like Sandra with Dirty Dough, my mom with Dirty Dough. So like I'm able to retire my mom and also give my girl, an opportunity that she wouldn't, typically have through that. And then for my dad, he's a franchisee at Glow. and he makes more money from his one glow than he does as a surgeon. So
that's so crazy.
Yeah, able to retire.
Glow tanning.
Yes,
because we didn't get into that, but you opened up. Well, just give us the background on glow tanning. You have some corporate stores. You have some franchisees. You've been doing that for 3 years or so.
Yeah. So with Glow, started Glow 21, Fayetteville, Arkansas. So I had the nutrition store, and the space was too large. Decided to do kind of like a hybrid, one of those like flea market type. You can come in, one-stop shop.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of white people in Fayetteville, probably very similar to Utah. And if you care about what you look like, fitness-wise, you probably also care about what you look like, cosmetically, which tanning fell into that. And so decided to go ahead and do that. Tanning took off and just ended up expanding it from there. Took 5 years to open the second store. First store for 2010, second store 2015. 2018, I had 7 locations, sold 5 of them to Palm Beach, which is the largest salon chain in the world. And decided that, I didn't sell the other 2 because they were new, and I sold it on EBITDA times. And since it was a new store, the EBITDA was going to be lower.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to build it up and then sell it and get into something else. And ended up I bought out half of my partner stores in Oklahoma City, and because I wanted to avoid paying taxes on all the money that I got, and then ended up just deciding to just kind of go crazy and expand from there. Bought into his stores like November 2018, started franchising 2019. And then we've
50 stores, right? 52?
54.
54 with another one in a week.
Yeah. So we have another 5 in the next 5 weeks, actually.
So awesome.
And then you're also a Dirty Dough franchisee. That's what you're opening up 3 stores.
Yes.
And all this stuff is easy, right? Never lose a night of sleep.
Yeah, I mean, it just it
is for him, man. When we met, so somebody connected us on LinkedIn, and then I was in Dallas, he's in Dallas. And anyways, he picks me up, and I was like, what? Picks me up in a Rolls Royce, man. Brand new, orange interior. I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Anyways, what was that car?
The Cullinan, Rolls Royce Cullinan. Yeah.
I was like, dang. Anyways, we rolled around for a little bit, and I was like, all right, I need to get Onyi on board. I need to get some advice from him.
Well, I was super impressed with Bennett because, and I've actually told several people this, because Bennett's super humble, and also, I think anybody who thinks they know too much, once you do that is when you start to fail.
Yep.
So it's like being able to know what your strong suits are, what you need help with, hiring a CEO compared to even just trying to be the CEO if you felt like somebody else could do better, or even we were just kind of talking through things, and I was giving some suggestions based on my experience, and he was taking notes, and I was like, okay, I'm really impressed with the brand, because you could tell when somebody's constantly trying to learn compared to somebody who just thinks they know everything. And if they, I'm not going to name any names, but, we were talking about some big time CEO owner. And that's why I said that guy's an idiot, because he thinks he knows everything.
Yeah.
And when you literally think you know everything is when you stop, actually improving and learning, because you feel like you have it all figured out.
Yeah. And you've been such a huge value add, not as a franchisee, but helping us as a franchisor brand. You're breaking our systems and showing that you can build out a Dirty Dough for 50 grand. And it's like, what is he doing over there?
It's a little slave labor here and there.
Because you have, is it 2 stores that you're opening next month?
Yes. Yep. 2 stores, 1 store in Lawton, Oklahoma, 1 store in Chickasha, Oklahoma.
So follow-on question to it is, because everything's so easy, what scares you? And what are some goals that are scary to you?
I think so. Honestly, the only thing that scares me is having to rely on other people, because it's a variable that I can't control. But for me, I mean, I'm never scared of work. If you look at my Instagram, you would think that my life's extremely fun, but really what's fun for me is working. So everything else is really just content. so, so, I could be anywhere. I'm in Argentina, but I'm working, I'm like, how much time I'm actually spending to have fun, maybe an hour, and I'm still working 40 hours, in 4 day span. So to me, nothing actually, I don't fear really anything. It's just relying on other people sometimes, but I have a really good team. And people I've worked with, and they know that I care about them and I trust them, so they typically do a good job. Goal that scares me. There's no goal that scares me. My goal for 40, I'm 35. My goal for 40 is I'm gonna buy a jet. So
we gotta stay friends with them.
So that goal doesn't scare me either, because technically, I've actually done research and I think I can afford one now. But the problem is being able to afford one and not think of the price tag of like, oh, you're going to fly here. It's going to cost you $10,000 in fuel and this and that. And just like
that fuel cost.
Yeah. Fuel, pilot, everything else, hangar costs, all that. Being able to like spend that money and not even, it's kind of like back in the day, if you said, hey, I want to buy a Tesla, right? Probably 3 years ago, you were like, okay, I can afford it, but every month when that payment comes out, I'm going to be stressed, compared to right now, you probably don't even realize when the payment comes out. So,
Yeah, the first time I bought, because I had a Tesla before, but I just paid cash for it. So I was like, I don't want to worry about a payment. Absolutely. I'm going to wait until I have the cash to pay for it. And then now I'm like, that was stupid. I could have got a 3% interest rate, but.
Absolutely. You use other people's money. Yeah. So yes, it's one of those things where being able to buy it and literally not even think about what the cost is, it would feel good. So that's the goal for 40.
Self-image. I want to talk to you a second about that, especially with being a bodybuilder. Do you feel like you did you judge yourself very harshly on your self-image? And was that a good thing, bad thing? Did it help you?
No. No. Most bodybuilders have a complex where they think they look better than they actually do. So they always go into competition thinking they're going to win when they come in fucking dead last, so I don't think it's that way. I think when self-image comes into play is after, when you no longer look like that. That's when it comes into play. And that's for everybody, women as well. As they get older and they age, then they think that they're supposed to look the way that they looked at a certain age, especially if they put so much value on how they look. And the value that other people, it's not even them, but the value that other people give them is based on how they look, right? So like you're a bottle girl at a club or, whatever. It's like you work at Hooters or something like that. Everything that you do is based on how you look. So then whenever you start to age, then they become really self-conscious about that. So, but for me, I'm like, it's way easier as a man when it comes to self-image, because you could be 5'7", and you see the TikToks and the Instagrams and everything else.
I'm 5'8", by the way.
Yeah, you could be.
Fuck you.
Average man is 5'9", so you're not far off. But if you see all the stuff, and women are always like, I don't want a man that's under 6 foot, which is fucking unrealistic, right? They want all this shit that's just not possible. They want a man that pays all the bills. They want all this stuff, and it's like, if you're 5'8", but when you stand on your money, you're 6 foot, you're fine. So it's like, it's one of those things, like as a man, like if you have money and you're a higher achiever, then nothing else matters. And as a woman, I don't care how much money you have. If you don't look good to whoever you desire, it's never going to work. So that's why it sucks for them. And then for a man, it's vice versa for a man. I don't care how good you look. If you literally can't provide, you're probably not going to be with somebody that you want to be with, So self-image to me, for men, I feel like it's kind of almost like irrelevant in a sense. Maybe I'm talking on my ass, probably. Maybe because I just don't have to deal with it.
I went through that, which I never thought I would, but because I gained it, I was 310 pounds less than a year ago.
It's all them damn cookies.
But I'll look in the mirror, or I'd like try to tie my shoes, and I'm like, this is rough. walking upstairs, I'm like, freak, I need to take a few breaths. No, but I went through it for a little bit. Like, man, this is, I've always been the sports person or like the wrestler or whatever. Anyways, I went through that a little bit, and
that's not a bad thing.
But I really did lean on my success, and I would tell myself that, at least I got money.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, but the thing is, like, that's not a bad thing. I mean, for me, when we say self-image, like, I guess, like, I work with 95% females, and and I'm extremely close to a lot of them, especially on my corporate team. So they become, any person that you talk to frequently, you work with, you're going to become really good friends with them. At least you hope that you don't hate them, right?
Yeah.
And so they feel comfortable enough to tell me things that they would not tell someone else, especially not a female, and things about self-image and everything else. And I'll say, oh, well, I struggle with my weight, which I do, and I work to, but, most people who see me, even when I'm, at my average weight, my normal average weight, where if I'm eating and snacking and I'm a snacker. So I'm eating and snacking and doing everything else, I'm at 280. And people are like, oh man, you look great, whatever. I don't feel happy with myself at that size. So I guess so kind of circling back around after I said all my other bullshit is yes, right? But the thing is, like, I also don't feel bad about myself.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I can be better.
Yeah.
Right. And then I just put the work in to try to be better. And you always see the little clips and the motivational stuff, and it's like, mental, physical, spiritual, like health. And I just always felt like, I'm in a really good space mentally. Spiritually, I feel like I'm in a good space. Financially, I feel like I'm in a good space. Health wise, I don't need to wake up. Like, every successful person wakes up at 5 a.m. and they do this. I'm like, oh, that's all bullshit. Like, so sometimes I'm going to sleep at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Right. So, but I do feel better and more stable, like waking up, me and my girl go to, the gym, do 45 minutes of cardio, go home, shower, start my day. I do feel better actually doing that. But that doesn't mean that it makes me like happy or anything. I just feel a little bit better doing that.
Yeah. I want to, before you talked about empowering others, and we just had dinner and you're talking about the program that you're developing at Glow Tanning to have your employees be able to be business owners and pair them up with investors and stuff. I want you to touch on that and also fulfillment, because I'm very much the mindset of that. Like, one of the mission statements or one of the pillars to support the mission statement of Dirty Dough is lowering that barrier of entry to entrepreneurship to empower people to be their own boss.
Absolutely.
So I share that with you, and I feel like I do that because that's very fulfilling for me. I wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So I mean, first let's go with like the why, right? Because a lot of times people are so selfish, and because people project. So because you have a selfish mindset, then you think that somebody else has the same motivations that you probably would in that situation. And it's like, to be perfectly honest, the more money you make, the more giving you actually are. And people think, oh no, that's not true. I mean, yeah, you have those few that are Scrooges or whatever, but if you look at any person that has extreme wealth, or even just is wealthy, like in a sense, right? The Warren Buffetts, the Bill Gates, any of them, they give a lot.
Yeah.
Right. Their whole mission is to like give and, whatever, but they also play the game in terms of like trying to also make more money, because that's what high achievers do. And by making more money, you also have more money to give. I've said this, if I make 1 million a year, there's no difference in my lifestyle between 1 and 2 million.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference between 1 and 10 million. If I make 10 million a year, there's no difference in my life between 10 and 20 million. There's a huge difference between 10 and 100 million. So unless I'm doing things to 10x my wealth, then it's not really like that fulfilling, because it's not actually like changing anything in my life. Like, I'm just doubling my work for what, right?
Yeah.
So when it comes to helping other people, it's like, those are the things, like anything in my life I want to do, I can go do. But the things that like, if I want to fly somewhere tomorrow, which I do all the time. I mean, I'm probably in a different country every 2 weeks, and I just randomly will just go for like a weekend. People are like, why do you fly? like, oh, you were in Paris for a weekend. Why would you go all the way, take that long ass flight to go? I'm like, dude, I'm literally, the flight's at night. I go to sleep on the plane. I wake up and it's literally the afternoon wherever I'm going. I chill for a weekend. I have a little fun, go shopping, take a couple pictures, post it on Instagram, fly home. Like I can do that, or I can stay in Dallas in my house.
I just saw your pictures of Paris, and you were also in Argentina, right?
Yeah. Like 2 weeks later, I went to just randomly was like, okay, cool. Like I literally will go to the airport, not know where I'm going to go, and then just book the flight. And I won't buy my hotel until I'm on the flight.
That's awesome.
And then I'll just go and I'll do whatever. And the reason why is because, you can literally go and do like, the things that the things that if you reflect on your life, I'm really big on self-reflection. So if you reflect on your life today and think about what you thought about 10 years ago, you couldn't even dream of where you're at today. Just think about that.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Couldn't even dream of if you dreamt a realistic dream of, hey, this is where I want to be, you've already achieved that plus more, right? So it's just appreciation of that. So what are the things that actually make you happy? Like when I do things for others and I don't do things, like Matthew 6:6 like says, like basically like, don't even let your left hand know what your right hand's doing, or you already received your reward, right? So it's like, I'm not doing it. I've never ever posted. I give a lot, and I don't tithe, but I am a Christian, so I do give at least 10% because I don't believe in giving it to the church and them doing whatever the hell the pastor go buys a new Benz with it, right? So I'm going to give my 10% how I want to give my 10%.
Yep.
But not one time have I ever posted on Instagram me giving somebody something.
Mm-hmm.
Like here goes some money. I hate influencers that are like posting them giving money to like some homeless guy. It's like you're embarrassing that guy and you're only doing it. You have ulterior motives behind your actual giving. So you're not actually giving, you're just literally trying to
gain followers
from gifting somebody, whatever. So to me, what makes me happy, and I'm sure it makes you guys happy as well, when you've achieved a certain level of success, is like when you're able to put people in positions or do things for people and they are genuinely happy and appreciative of what you did without you saying, because I'll never throw it in anybody's face, but like, I did this for you. But they're like, 6 months later, they're like, dude, man, can't tell you thank you enough, like I really appreciate the fact that you were able to set me up and be in this position to help better my life or whatever. That's more satisfying to me than if you gave me $1 million check today.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about giving, percentage of your wealth, but also with our conversations. And the first time we met, when I was in your car, you were connecting me with your franchisee in Denver so he can tell me the best real estate spots. Like you're giving your time, you're giving your resources, and then you're empowering others. So I've just seen you give it in both of those ways, which is super cool.
Absolutely. I mean, it's I always say this, I'm like, when money is your motive, I make more money from not caring about money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never gonna do something that puts myself at a disadvantage, like financially. But I'm never thinking about trying to take any. Like I'm never thinking about my financial advantage. Like I'm not gonna do something that puts. I'm not gonna sign some deal that, hey, I'm gonna lose money doing this. Yeah, but I'm never like thinking like, oh my God, I'm gonna make so much money doing this deal. I'm just doing it because I think it's like mutually beneficial, or I'm trying to help somebody put them in a good position or whatever. But even with me helping them, sometimes it's like a partnership, like we were talking about with the program.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you're giving somebody an opportunity that would have had this opportunity. By giving them the opportunity, you're helping somebody else like fulfill a dream that they had. But then if you take all of that away, which is the actual motivation, and then you think about it selfishly, you're growing your company. You actually will make money from it. But that's not your motivation. But all those things.
It's just a byproduct, though.
It's a byproduct, and I love that word because I'm gonna start using that from now on. But it's a byproduct of actually just doing what is the right thing to do and help put other people in positions. And for the program, since we've mentioned it a couple times, so basically we have a program that we just launched called Own Your Future at Glow. If you work for us for 3 years, regardless of position, you can apply to to get a glow. There's really no
to be the owner of a franchise that
Yeah.
pulls in multiple six figures.
Yes. And we will match you with an investor. We have, over 300 people a year that apply to have glows. We only approve less than, we approve like 3% currently. So about 10 out of 300. And the reason why we don't approve most people is because they have the money, but they're not operators, and glow is very intense on the operation side. It's not, it's not a money. If it was a money thing, I would have 200 myself,
Mhm.
So it's very intense on the operation part of it. So being able to pair the operator who's already operated stores for 3 years in our system with the person who actually has the money. So now it's a nice marriage where the investor is extremely happy. The operator has an opportunity that they could not afford or never, would have in the first place. And yeah.
I mean, these are people that are coming in making 10, 15 bucks an hour that have the opportunity to make six figures or multiple six figures. And that's not only life changing, that's like generationally changing people's, which is incredible. It's like,
absolutely,
it gives me the goosebumps because like that's what I want to give to people. That's super fulfilling, super cool. Can we change their immediate lives, but also generationally, and provide wealth and empowerment?
Absolutely. And then just think about it when you have your, my manager for one of the Dirty Dough locations currently works at Glow and is going to move over to Dirty Dough, which is next door to Glow, in one of the locations that's opening in a couple weeks. And she, at Glowvention, which was this past weekend, her manager was like, "Hey, Naomi asked if she can come to Glowvention next year." And I was like, "Don't worry about it. We'll have a dirty vention, whatever." So I don't know what you guys end up doing for maybe some type of national convention for.
Yeah, we'll do one. We need a few more stores open. And
yeah.
So
when when that happens, I think that, for us at Glowvention, being able to look up in 3 to 5 years and have the testimonial from an employee that became an owner.
Yeah.
And now is a millionaire that started off making $10 an hour. I'll probably shed one thug tear, so
shed that thug tear.
See it.
I love it, man. Last question for you. And we've been hitting on it, but, what is the big thing that you feel like you're doing today to make the world a better place tomorrow?
That's a good question. I think, honestly, I don't know. That's a hard question to answer because, that would, to me, that would almost like imply that I have that power, and I don't know if I do. So, but I would just say for me and like, say the people that I touch with my staff and everything else is, holding them accountable, and basically holding people to like a certain standard of ethics and behavior and hard work that a lot of people typically would not, that they end up taking into other places. And then also just, I preach this as servant leadership. So essentially, rather than, I hate managers or leaders. Our positions for like a manager, we don't call them manager, we call them leaders.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can have multiple leaders. You only have one manager. But for leaders, I hate leaders that, sit around and tell people what to do. It's like, for me, if I go in and I go do something, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to do the same exact thing that any other person is going to do. I don't, if I walk in the store and somebody's like, "Oh, that's the owner, that's the CEO," to a customer, like they know they'll pretty much I'm not going to fire them, but I tell them I will, because I'm the maintenance guy. Like I want to be, as low key as possible. I want to fit in with you guys. I want to make sure that, I don't look at myself as better than anybody. And I preach that too. If I see a leader that's, just sitting around bossing other people around, that's not how we run our organization. So like servant leadership and just letting people know, like it's about, getting to know the people that you're dealing with and serving others is how we lead. So I'm not sure if that really answered the question, but
no, it does. I mean, and we've touched on some other things as well. I mean, I think empowering is a big thing. Allowing your employee, I don't know. You're doing a lot, man.
I've got one more. When it comes to vulnerability, that's top of mind as a leader. How do you let people in? Because it's not always an easy journey.
Yeah. So in my corporate team, I have a girl named Ambria. She's my CBO, really good friend of mine, one of my best friends. And she is like my interpreter, because everybody's like kind of scared of me, and I'm very direct. Like I cuss people out of emails. Like I'm extremely direct. But I'm never wrong. Like I'm not saying that I'm never wrong. Like when like in general, I'm saying I'm never wrong. Like if I like go off on somebody, it's like I make sure 8 times that I'm correct. Mm-hmm. It's not like I go off with somebody and they're like, hey, actually you missed where I said. It's like, no, I'm like triple double checking. So I make sure that doesn't come, and I CC everybody on it, such as the signage email. Yeah. Right. So everybody sees it, and it's kind of like, 1 is so everybody's in the loop. 2 is warning to other people, whatever. So that scares people. And so she like basically like vouches for me. She's like, no, he's like a mean teddy bear. Yeah. So so basically, I think that for me, I don't open up to anybody until they have proven that they do a good job and going to be here for a while. Mm-hmm. Because I don't care to get to know you when you might not be here in 2 weeks. When I know that like loyalty is my biggest thing. So when I know that like you're loyal and you got skin in the game, then cool. Now you know that I would literally do anything for you, and that's the truth. Yep. But I'm not, one thing all of us as entrepreneurs know, the people that you look out for the most are the ones that'll fuck you over the quickest. Yep. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I'm not going to continue to put myself in those situations prematurely, because I'll still put myself in those situations. I'm not going to let my previous experiences affect how I treat people in the future. But at the same time, let me make sure that there's a likelihood that this person is actually going to be around, not just go throw myself out there and the person's gone in, 2 days and, writing bad reviews and name dropping me on it. Yep. So.
Thanks for sharing that.
All right, man. Thanks for jumping on the podcast, flying out for Dallas just for this podcast. Awesome. No, I'm just joking. We're already here. Anyways, dude. I really appreciate it. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Make sure to like, subscribe, do whatever the hell you want, and so you don't miss future episodes.
Awesome.